Are you the man you thought you would have been by this point? Just want you to just sit with that and think about it for a minute. Go back to the younger version of you. However old you are, I'll use myself as the example. I'm 24, and I just think back a decade ago. I think back to when I was like 18. The thought of me being 24, it used to actually make me a little bit anxious because I was like, I know who I want to be by 24, and I know the work I need to do. So it's like, oh, by the time this age comes, I should have done this, and that. I should be this person. But ask yourself, who did that little boy think or hope he'd grow up to be? And are you that at this point? Now, I'd hazard a guess, probably not, right? Because achieving the goals that we want is very difficult, especially with the challenges I've kind of been speaking about in relation to the phone, right? And the important thing to note in all of this, right, is there's comfort around the fact that we still got time, right? That's why we're able to just like, oh man, one more night I can just spend on my phone, or one more meal or whatever, right? Is there's always this thing of like, I've got time to fix it. And again, if you are kind of young, you still got time, but that time is running out, because what we need to stop looking at is, oh man, okay, I've still actually got time to fix this. It's like, what happens if you're to extrapolate, right? Look at the way you've been living your life over the last year, the last 2, 3, 4, 5 years. What happens if you project that into the future? If you live the next 5 years the way you've been living the last 5 years, what would your life look like? I know for me, I'm like, oh, I'm not going to like what that life is going to look like. But the thing is always, oh no, but I will change, right? It's like, oh man, I've got 5 years, I'll change, man. But time is running out. Like it genuinely is. And a stat that's important to actually acknowledge in relation to this is at 21, you have lived 50% of your perceived life. Now that's striking to me. It's scary. But the more you think about it, the more it makes sense, because at first you're like, 21, dude, if you live until like you're 90, you've got like another 70 years. You haven't even lived a quarter of your life by that point. But that's the thing about time. Time is very, very much subjective, and it's based on our memory as well, right? So think about this, man. Up until a certain point, but let's use 21 as the point. Every year of your life as a child is kind of marked by something, right? There's always a first for everything, right? It's like the first time you eat, I guess, when you're a baby, the first time you walk, the first time you talk, right? Then as you start growing up, it's like, oh, the first time you're going to school. And then it's kind of marked by grades. So every year there's always something new. It's always like, oh, this is the first time I'm in grade 2. This is the first time I'm in grade 3. And then it's like, oh, this is the first time I'm in high school. This is the first time I'm in grade 9, grade 10. And then you keep going until it's like, oh, you finish school. And then it's like, oh, this is the first time I'm like an adult, right? Oh, it's my first time going to university, right? And then just think about your normal like life milestones. Right, by that point, okay, you've done a lot of like your school stuff, you've played your first sport, you've kind of figured out some things you like, some things you don't like, right? Then you go into your firsts are kind of running out, right? From a romantic perspective, your first kiss, your first girlfriend, your first wife, and hopefully your only wife, right? But like those things start running out. Like you're not gonna have a first time doing anything anymore, because once you do your first job, I think from there you're really not left with much. Now, this can kind of be hacked by having kids, and that's why you don't want to obviously live your life through your kids, but it kind of helps put time into perspective, and that's why you hear a lot of time with parents saying, man, these kids grow so fast, because when you have your first child, right? Once that child starts growing, it's like, oh man, this child used to be like 2 years, now they're 12. Where has the time gone? You're able to actually stop and think about where the time has gone, because you can see it, like your child is going through their first. But if you didn't have that child, the time would just go. Like it would just go. You look back and you don't even have time to actually be like, man, time is flying. And that's scary. And when you start putting that into perspective, it's like, man, your perceived life is just, it's a lot of it is gone. Because now the more you settle into routines, into doing certain things, then time just blurs and then it just goes. Like it really just flies. And that's important to note, because this notion of I have time doesn't work when your firsts are almost all of them are done. You're not really left with a lot of first time anythings. But also the responsibility is now growing. Now you have responsibilities. Like now And now I can speak from experience as somebody who's got a full-time job now. It's like, oh, I need to use my weekends. If I don't use my weekends and like my evenings to kind of do this thing, I'm never gonna have the time to really like pursue this thing. Whereas back, man, man, back in the day, you got school, you come back, in the afternoon, you don't have like, oh, I need to do this job so I can pay for my groceries, and oh, by the way, I need to actually go to the grocery shop and get my groceries, and then oh, I need to make my food for the week or whatever it is. And then it's like all these things you need to do, they're responsibilities. And this is me speaking as a 24-year-old bachelor. It's not even, as life goes, you take on more responsibilities. I As you grow, you get married, you have kids, and then all of a sudden you've got this mountain of responsibilities. That again, your time just becomes less and less and less and less, right? That's why I was saying that 700 weeks that you have before we take into account screen time and stuff of free time, 10 of those weeks in your 20s is not the same as 10 of them in your 40s, because me having a free Saturday now means I can do this. I can basically go do what I want. But me having a free Saturday in my 40s, when I'm getting married with kids and stuff, is, oh, your kid has a sports game, you want to go watch. Oh, you need to go do this thing, you need to go grocery shopping, something around the house needs to be fixed, whatever, right? It's like that time diminishes quite a lot. And I think if I haven't hit the point home, you're in the most time-rich point of your life right now, and you're handing it over to a phone. And that should terrify you. I know it terrifies me. The most time-rich season of my life is being stolen by a 6-inch screen.